Everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. Come and eat. Listen,
my message is called Thirsty for Living Waters.
Hallelujah.
And John 7:37 says, if anyone thirsts, let him come to me, and let him who believes in me drink. And then in John 4:10 it says, if you knew the gift of Elohim, who it is that said to you, give me to drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living waters. So, anyway, with that verse, those two verses on my heart, and then Natan's teaching and the conversation last night, it kind of built something in me. And so, anyway, to just give you some background, when I grew up on a farm, more or less. Most of the time I was on a farm, and we had animals, and we were taught to work. I mean, when we grew up on the farm, we all had things we had to do. And at an early age, we were doing these jobs. And when I was growing up, my job was to take care of the animals. I was the one in charge of the animals, and then we had pasture, and so during the summertime we had to move sprinkler pipe. It wasn't any wheel lines or anything. You had to take each section of sprinkler pipe apart and move it down the field, and so we had to do that every day. Actually, my sister and I were supposed to do it together, but we fought so much we ended up just having to take turns. One would do it one day and one would do the next. But anyway, we were always had jobs and things that we needed to be doing. We lived out. My nearest neighbor at that time was a mile away, and we had a few neighbors who were Seventh-day Adventists. Who, bless them, because they were our nearest neighbors, they were able to give me some teachings here and there. But then behind us, on three sides of us, we were bordered by timber company ground, and so I also, we had livestock and whatnot. I had a horse. And so I've got one up on Natan because my friend was a horse and I could ride him. So anyway, I could get on my horse and I could go for 30 or 40 miles without hitting a fence or seeing another house or anything. I mean, I could just get out and go. And it was God's creation. I mean, that was where I wasn't raised in a religious household. I didn't have Bibles or anything, but God's creation was all around me, and the healing aspects of His creation was there, and I grew up in it. And no matter where I went, there it was. I mean, staring me in the face. I could not deny that God existed. I could not deny that He was watching over me, and the gospel was in His creation around me. Psalm 19 says that the heavens declare His glory and His handiwork, and I saw that because I was listening, I was looking, and so Brother Johnson reminded me of that last night. That we don't have to have that Bible to get that message. It will come if we have a heart for God. If our heart is there, that message will come through, and He will talk to us, and He will meet us where we are. And the Word says that we're to study to show ourselves approved. Well, even if we don't have that written Word to look at, we can still study. We can still show ourselves approved. But how much more for us that have that Word? How much more for us that have that Word that we can open it up and read it, that we can see that? But as I grew up, my father started taking me to work with. My father was a second generation logger, and I'm a third generation logger. And the whole lifestyle that we had was built around hard work. And my father would take me to work with him. And looking back at it, I understand what was happening. It was days when there really wasn't much going on out in the job, but so he was going to work by himself so he could take his son with him and start showing him and teaching him. So at 6 years old, my father was taking me out to the woods with him and teaching me how to set chokers, and he would be running a cat and I'd be setting chokers behind him at 6 or 7 years old, and he was teaching me more than I ever knew. at that, and I thought it was just fun. I didn't realize I was working because, I got to be with Dad. And who doesn't, what boy doesn't want that? You get to go out with Dad. And so he taught me these things. And then as I grew up, later on, when I was in my early 20s, my father and I started our own logging company. We started going out and we just began starting working our own logging company. And my job at that time for the company was to fall the timber. Now, I don't know any of you guys that are familiar with logging in the woods and whatnot, but most of the time, and you're talking about the late 70s, early 80s now, at that time, the pretty normal thing was that the logging crew gets out of the job at daylight or a little bit after, and the logging crew works for anywhere from 12 to 16 hours a day on the job. Now, they may drive an hour or 2 hours to get to the job, but when you get to the job, you're expected to do 12 to 16 hours of work, and then you get to go home. Well, my job when Dad and I started was I was a timber faller. And so the timber faller is only required to work for 6.5 hours. We get out on the job, I can remember getting at work at 5 o'clock in the morning and being out in the woods and having my chainsaw running and starting to cut down trees at 5:30 in the morning. And at 1 o'clock, I get to go home because that was the hours for the timber faller. And it was because the timber faller was expected to put out so much work that he's basically done all he can do by that time. You can't do anymore. And I can remember going out there on a frosty morning, getting out at work at 5 o'clock in the morning, and there'd be frost on the ground, and it's cold, you're seeing your breath, and I'd have a heavy shirt on, and then I'd have, a sweatshirt on over that, and of course a t-shirt on first, and I'd go out to work, and at 5:30 I'd have my chainsaw started up, and pretty soon that sweatshirt comes off, and it's laying there, and after a while the heavy shirt comes off, and I can remember by 6:45 in the morning that my chainsaw would be empty of gas. The first tank of gas would be run out, and it's time to fill it up, and I'd be taking my t-shirt off and wringing the sweat out of it because we've been working so hard, and it's still only 35 or 40 degrees outside. And that's just the way it was. And that's why the timber fallers didn't work the 16 hours a day. We just couldn't. We used so much energy so quick. But also at that time, when I'd go to work, I would take 2 gallons of water with me. I would pack 2 gallons of water to work. And I don't know that I ever drank the 2 gallons of water. But every day I would drink more than a 1 gallon of water when I'm at work. And I can remember one particular day that I forgot to fill my water jugs. And I get to work, and I've only got part of a gallon of water. And I was only able to work part of the day. After my water ran out, I couldn't continue. I couldn't continue to work because I did not have any water to drink. It was imperative. I had to have that to continue with my work. Well, when Jesus says to us, when he says that all you who thirst, come to me. He's telling us if we're thirsty, come to him. But then he says, if you believe in me, then those who believe in me drink. So there's something that's required here. First of all, we need to be doing something to become thirsty. If we're just sitting around, we're not going to become that thirsty. We're going to we may take a sip now and then, but we're not that thirsty. But as we work harder and harder, we need more to sustain us. And Jesus, Yahshua Messiah, he said to us, come, and those who are thirsty, come to me, and then those who believe in me, drink. Well, I think about that when I'm working out there, that I could go out to the woods and I can understand the nature and everything around me, and that's great. And every once in a while I might take a sip of water. But when I go out there and really work, I've got to have a lot of water with me. And the more water I'm able to drink, the more I'm able to put out. Well, that's the same way. Once we get saved by Jesus, once we get washed in the water of the Word, and once that blood covers us, now we're saved and we've come to Jesus. We've come to him, but now he says, those who believe on me, drink. Well, now we need to start drinking. We need to drink in that word. We need to drink the word of the Spirit in. We need to get in that river of life, and we need to partake of that. We need to drink from that, and we need to move forward. And if we just come and have somebody else do all the work for us, and somebody else do all the study for us, and we come and sit and let that person just give us what they've worked for and they've been drinking, then we're really just taking little sips along the way. We're not really getting into that river of life and drinking out of it and getting what the Messiah so desperately wants us to have. And I see that in Natan when I look at his website and I look at his blogs. He's drinking out of that river of life, and he's working so hard that he's getting thirsty, and he's drinking more and able to produce more because he's out there. He's doing something which is making him thirsty. We've got to do something to make us thirsty, folks. We can't just sit there and say we're in the river of life. We may be coming to Jesus, we may be saying I'm thirsty, but we're really not doing anything to actually believe on him and drink. We're just standing there saying, I guess I'm thirsty. He wants us to go out and do something. He wants us to get so thirsty that we're drinking that river dry because we're doing so much work for him.
Amen. Yes. Hallelujah.
Now that's the trouble why I have to have it written down or I lose where I am and then I get wound up and now my computer went blank again and I don't have it.
The flow of the Spirit. It's all right.
Basically, that's my message. We've got to go to that river and drink, folks.
Amen.
I mean, that's the long and short of it. Because, we can sit there on the bank and watch it go by. And we all need to do that. But we've got to get up and do the work of the Messiah and get thirsty. Because we can sit and read our Bibles. And we all should do that. But that's pretty passive. When we sit and read our Bibles, that's passive and that's great. But we got to get out and go do something with that information after we get it. And then we're going to get thirsty for more. And we're going to just keep filling it up. And my closing is everybody get up and do something for Yahshua HaMashiach and get thirsty.
Amen.
Amen.
Woo.
Thank you.
Like Ezekiel, he had to get in the river.
In the river.
That one. He didn't just sit there. He had to get in there, get deeper and deeper.
Yes. And he got in that river because he wasn't satisfied to just sit there and put a cup in the edge and say, well, that's great. He did. He went out till it was ankle deep and then loin deep. Anybody have any questions?
And then Yeshua, talk about this. I am the river of life. And we got to abide in him, and then we get it, and it waterfall flows out of us.
Yes.
Touch other people. We can't get there unless our cup overflows.
And that's what I was talking about with your blog and stuff, Natan, because that's what I'm getting. I'm getting that overflow from the work you've done, and now it should overflow in me, and it should flow out of me and keep going.
Amen.
But if it stops, if that water's flowing out of you, and then it just dribbles onto some people here and there and stops, and they don't get up and get thirsty, it just stops. It's got to keep going. That river, Natan a while ago, he talked about Maimonides. And he said, he was mentioning that he was an ancient sage from the medieval times, the 1200s or so. And Maimonides has a quote that I've always loved. And this is, in fact, I actually looked for it recently. I read this years and years ago, and I can't remember where I picked it up. But it was a quote from Maimonides. And he was an ancient sage. He was also a physician. And at the time, he was known as one of the foremost physicians of Europe at the time.
Amen.
And the reason he was such a good physician is because he knew the Word of God. He knew it backwards, forwards, upside down, like I will never know it. But because of that, he was able to heal and to perform medicine at that time because of that understanding. And when asked, I can't remember who it was, but I think it was a royal personage that was sick. And they went to Maimonides for medical help. And he told them, his response to them, why they were sick. and he said, our bodies are over 70% water. We are body. This is in the 1200s now. He said, we're almost all water, and if water sits around, it gets stagnant and dead. If you want to be healthy, you get up and keep moving, or you're going to have stagnant waters. Well, that's what we're doing, folks. Most of us are just sitting around, spiritually seeking, in our spirit life, we're sitting around getting stagnant. We need to get up and get moving.
Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon his name. He is near, he is near, he is near. Yeshua Hashem behimatzov kerahu yoto karov karov Yasov Rasha darko leishavei machshevotav yashovel ad Hashem ki arbe is Yeshua Hashem behimatzov kerahu Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon his name. He is near, he is near. Yeshua Hashem behimatzov kerahu